Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Self Validation Friday. It is Self Validation Friday. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing this morning? I am doing well. I'm doing well. I'm excited. We're wrapping up recognizing and inspiration on today or recognizing and feeling inspired because we know that this series is all about elevating your mindset. So my question is this morning, have you ever asked yourself, who was I before the world told me who I had to be? All right, who was I before the world told me who I had to be? Because that's who we're meeting today. That was who this session is created for, right? This is for this is for you or people or individuals who's really tired of performing for approval, for the leader who's done defining themselves by their pain, and really for the souls who are ready to rise to their truth and not their trauma. So listen, today's life lesson is truly about reclaiming your voice from the inner critic and really rewriting the story that shaped your worth. Okay, that shaped your worth, because guess what, you've been carrying a belief that isn't even yours. All right, and it's been shaping how you love, how you lead, and how you live this thing called life, you guys. So, again, today's title is Your Belief is Not Your Truth. Your belief is not your truth. We're focusing on the identity, or on the it factor, right? Which is our identity and self talk, really trying to break down that inner critic. All week, we've been talking about this inner critic as we introduce the series of Really Rise. In this month, we're really talking about elevating your mindset because it's May, right? So, we did January, we did February, we did March, we did April, and now we're in May, and we're probably still feeling like, something's off. Like, I've been watching the shows, I've been doing the things, and I'm still feeling stuck, or I still feel like I need more. I'm still feeling like I'm not, whatever that is. This month's series, Rise, is truly to help you elevate your mindset, so that you can start to attain, or at least sit in some truth about yourself. Okay. All right. Why this session matters, because most people are living a story that they didn't write, right? Most people are living out a story that they didn't write. The beliefs that we carry about ourselves, you guys, were actually shaped by the voices that came long before you had the tools to even question, right? Before we even had the tools to even question, is this true about me? All right. So this session is really about disrupting those narratives and really choosing a new foundation for your identity. And listen, that foundation is one that's rooted in truth, not trauma, possibility, and not program. Okay. That is a foundation that's rooted in truth, not trauma, and rooted in possibility, not programming. Okay. Possibility. So, uh, again, why this session matters is truly because we want to really switch from that trauma, and we want to focus on root ourselves in truth and not trauma and impossibility, not programming. Good morning. Listen, otherwise, good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you back to Life Lessons with Dr. Sheila Little. It's Self Validation Friday. We are wrapping this week up. This has been a fast week for me. I know on Wednesday, I did two sessions in one. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, last Friday. And I want to just take some time to um to really just come present, right? We've done what we're supposed to do in our person, and now it's just time to really come together as a community, right? So let's feel our feet on the floor, because this is your space, right? No judgment, just your presence, right? To really collectively come together. I did the life lesson or the lunch and learn yesterday, and I kind of did a body scan, but today I want to really just let's again focus on our bones, on all the nerves, right, in our body, to let our body know that we are here, we're safe, right, in this body, and that today is a good day, right? This moment is a great moment, right? And so let's feel our feet on the floor. Let's just get present, right? Let's get present, feeling our legs, the nerves, our knees, just giving some love to our knees and some compassion to our thighs, right? We judge our body so much. Okay. So let's just come in non-judgmental today. Okay. Our butts in the seat. We're driving. Good morning, brother. If we're driving, right? Up our spines, right? Just filling our spines, our back, across our necks, right? Our rib cage, we've been focusing on our bones this week. So our ribs, right? That just really encompass all of our organs, right? Just focusing on giving some attention to our bones, right? And then giving some love to our organs, our heart, our intestines, all of that. Up our necks, right? Our throat chakra, okay? Down our shoulders, our muscles, our elbows, forearms, hands, activating our hands on this morning, all right? Up our heads, our chins, filling our jawbone, right? Our skeleton, right? Our nose, our mouth, just getting present in our body, you guys. Our crown chakra, just the energy around our head, all right? And then the space around us, which is our largest organ, right? Our skin, just feeling that space around us. Listen, if we feel a little tight this morning, let's just push our energy out, right? And if we're feeling too big, right? If we feel that space around us and it's like I can't really feel the space around me, just imagine your space just coming back into arm's length, okay? All right. Right. So good morning. Good morning. Listen, drop a word in the chat for me and tell me how you're feeling this morning. Okay. How are you feeling this morning? Drop one word in the chat. Um, and tell me this. If you want to challenge yourself, you can tell me how you feel. And then here's your challenge. What kind of truth do you need to hear today? What kind of truth do you need to hear today? All right. So let's ask for that on this self-validation Friday. Good morning. Good morning. If you guys notice, like for the last couple of, I don't know, month or so, maybe even 2 months, like I have this, um, this way of, I don't know, this anyway, I have a doctor's appointment this morning because I don't know if it's like my sinuses is backed up or, if I need to kind of accelerate or help this healing process. So I have a doctor's appointment this morning just to check out to make sure like I don't have anything going on in my head. But there's this nasally kind of sound I have, and it has had me down. It has me looking tired. It has me kind of feeling a little fatigued. And so I just want to see if I can help my body uh move past this stage. So I'm feeling like grateful that I get to see my doctor and really try to get a lot of this help push this fluid through me. Some swelling I feel like in my face and my nose and in my ear. So yeah, but if there was one kind of truth that what kind of truth that I would need to hear today, I think that my word would be Um, maybe two things came up: hope and maybe sustaining. Right? I think that when we go on this healing journey, I have to find another word for it because I do think it's just evolution, right? To try to meet life where life is, because life is lifing, right? Life is doing what it does regardless of you. It's so unconditional. It's not conditioned based on how you feel, what you need, or whatever. Life is gonna life. And I always say life has this way um of nature just has this way of being non-biased, right? Like, listen, if you put your hand in the fire is not going to say, oh, that is Sheila's hand, or that's Joe's hand, or that's Paul's hand, right? It's going to burn you, you know. If you stick your finger in some electricity, it's not going to be like, oh, well, that's Sheila's hand. We can't know. So life has this very unconditional way of being unapologetic about how it shows up. And I think that as individuals trying to meet that evolution, right, and understanding that life is unconditional and it really don't, and I'm saying this softly, but it really just don't care about you in that way, okay? And so I think that that's what makes life, right? That's what makes life kind of difficult because sometimes we want to, not get burnt and not get electrocuted, or not feel like we're drowning in our circumstances. And then life is just like, but, you know, yeah,
I'm just doing what I do. Okay. And so I feel like my word would be hopeful, right? Because I think that a lot of times when life is doing what it's doing, we can often lose hope. We can get unmotivated. We can become uninspired. We can, start to feel like, why? Why even try? Right. And then the other one was maybe like consistency or discipline, right? And really, because on the healing journey, it's still about showing up and kind of meeting life where it is in our evolution and our healing. So, yeah, I think my word would be hope. That's my word this morning. Drop your word, right? What kind of truth do you need to hear this morning that you could still be hopeful and life is always working for your good? That's my truth. Drop yours in the chat. Listen, who this session is for today? Session is for you if you struggle to receive compliments or credit. All right. This session is for you if you feel unseen or misunderstood in relationships. This session is for you if you consistently rehearse old labels like um like you're too sensitive, you're not enough, or you're hard to love. And if you're ready to really shed the weight of false beliefs and speak from the truth of who you are becoming, all right, speaking from the truth of who you are becoming. And I think that's probably what I was trying to say. We all are becoming, right? The version of ourselves that we need to be to meet Friday, right? Because Friday is going to have its own thing that it needs you to be. Okay, for today. And our goal is to meet Friday for what Friday needs me to be. And then to not let whatever happened in Friday to affect Saturday, because Saturday is going to need me to be certain way, right? To address the needs of Saturday and then Sunday and all of that, right? And so I think that sometimes we don't get that we're becoming, and the becoming part of us is really to meet life's expectations and standards and to really build this relationship. All right. Why does this session matter? Because listen, by now I think we understand that on Monday we talked about this name the origin story, right, of your inner critic. On Tuesday, the whole idea was to really recognize how fear shows up and really reinforce a new script, right? On Wednesday, we talked about those costs, right? Uncovering the cost of believing that you're not enough. And then on yesterday, on that lunch and learn yesterday, I talked about mapping the loops, right? So really talking about these loops. And if you didn't get a chance to, if you're in the group, Elevate in Life group, and you didn't get a chance to listen to the lunch and learn because I went to post it, but it wouldn't post. I actually have the video in the comments of that event. So if you want to watch that video, just go to the comments to watch that. Because I talked about mapping your loops, right? And when you're mapping your loops, it's really about seeing how your beliefs drive your behavior. And one of the things I talked about on yesterday was that patterns are so important for us to know because it is kind of like the condensed version of, okay, this is a belief I had. This is what that belief triggers. This is the obstacle that creates, right? And if I can't turn that obstacle into an opportunity, what has happened over time is that I have developed a pattern. And guess what? That pattern that you develop or that loop, like, is truly a loop. Like you're looping in the same cycles, and it's just characters, right? It's people who's changing, but your circumstances staying the same. And guess what? This is why I call it a loop or a pattern because maybe your mama did it, and maybe your grandmama did it. And if you're a male, maybe it was the behaviors of your father and your father's father, right? And now you're just in that same loop of behavior or mindset, right? And one of the things I talked about yesterday, which is so important, is like this thing of emotional intelligence, because one of the things emotional intelligence talks about is paradigms. And a lot of times we're looping in the same type of pattern because we have the same lens, right? We're looking through from the same paradigm. And if we are stuck in the victim paradigm or in the duty paradigm, then traditionally we're going to loop or we're going to see the world the same as other people in that paradigm. And those people could be our, friends, family, community, or whatever. And the fastest way to really break and accelerate out of that paradigm, I mean, out of that loop, is to really have a level of emotional intelligence so you can switch your paradigm. Because if I can switch how I see a thing, then that's going to switch how I respond to it. Okay. All right. So today's session, okay, so we talked about loops yesterday. And so in today's, right, we're closing the loops by giving you permission, okay, and the authority to say that this belief may have shaped me, but it will not define me any longer. Okay, this belief may have shaped me, but it won't define me any longer. All right, so here's some key insights that I want you to think about. Okay, beliefs are learned. This is big. Beliefs are learned, right? They're learned, but truth is revealed. All right, beliefs are learned, but truth is revealed. Most limiting beliefs are inherited or observed are inherited or absorbed. Okay, absorbed through survival. All right, not consciously choosing them. All right, so beliefs are learned and truth is revealed. All right, as we move, as we grow, as we go, the truth is revealed to us. All right. So belief is something I learned. Somebody taught me that. And as I start to grow and evolve and move and shape and go through life, then my truth is revealed to me. It's like I'm discovering. Good morning, Mariah. It's like I'm discovering it. All right. Listen, self-talk isn't a reflection of your identity. Okay. Self-talk isn't a reflection of your identity. The way you speak to yourself tells the truth. I mean, self-talk is a reflection of your identity. Listen, the way you speak to yourself tells the truth about what you believe about your worth. All right. The way you speak to yourself, not the way you require other people to speak to you. Okay. Not the way, um, yeah, you talk to yourself in front of people, but this is the self talk. Your self talk is a reflection of your identity. So the way you speak to yourself really tells the truth about what you believe about your work, you guys. And listen, another thing I want you to know is that renewal begins with redefinition. Okay. Renewal begins with redefinition. You're not here to reclaim an old self. Okay. You're not here to reclaim an old self. You're here to redefine who you're becoming. I keep saying this. One, you're not broken. Okay. You're not broken. Um, you're patterned, right? You're patterned. You're not broken. You're patterned. And this whole idea of I want to go back and I want to be this. Yes, we ask those type of questions because it can spark like where you went off your where you got detoured at. But the truth is that you're not here to reclaim that old self. You're here to redefine who you're becoming. All right. So to take as this truth is being revealed to you about you, how do I incorporate that and refine that in my life and refine my life with that new information? All right. And the last but not least, you were formed in love. You were formed in love, not fear. Okay. So many people shape their identity around their trauma, around guilt, and around scarcity, you guys. But listen, true identity is truly rooted in divine love and worth. Listen, you are beautifully and wonderfully created. Um, that is our Bible scripture for today, right? That's the promise. You are beautifully and wonderfully loved, all right? And so we have to know that, not in the sense of what you and your mama and your daddy did when they got together, but the essence of creation, right? The intent of creation, that spark, right? That is the divine love and worth. All right. Okay. So what I want you to do is ask yourself this. What was the first moment I remember feeling not enough? And who gave me that message? All right. What is the first moment that I remember not feeling enough, and who gave me that message? And I also want you to think about what would my inner voice say if it was shaped by God's truth, not my trauma. What would my inner voice say if it was shaped by God's truth and not my trauma? All right. I do want to say that I worked with a woman in the, in the life lab, and she said I recognized I was trying to grow my life around a belief that I was broken. All right. So she was trying to grow her life around a belief that she was broken. And when she let that go, guess what? Her decisions and self trust, guess what? They expanded, you guys, because research shows that um or studies show that neuroplasticity, right? Neuroplasticity shows that self-affirming inner dialogue can rewrite emotional memory and really create healthier identity patterns over time. Okay, right? So here's our core message. You don't have to carry the belief that was handed to you, right? You don't have to lie. You are not the lie. They just taught you to live like it was true. So you don't have to carry the belief that was handed to you. You are not the lie. They just taught you to live like it was true. Okay. So you don't have to believe in this lie that was told to you, right? Uh Whoever told you that, they just taught you that. They said it like it was your truth, but it's really not your truth. Okay. All right. So our quote for the day, the belief may be familiar, but that doesn't make it true. The belief may be familiar, but that doesn't make it true. You are allowed to change the script, you guys. You are allowed to change the script. A client once told me, I kept hearing my mother's voice every time I tried to speak up. Thought it was mine. It wasn't until I wrote it down and recognized that I had built my identity around her fears. And when we step back, really, and be honest, it's like, why do I feel this way? Why am I judging this? Why do I feel the need to be this way? It is truly inspired by a voice of authority that was in your life, either the church, the your grandparents, your mom, and I'm not saying that this is wrong. I just think that we need to understand it, right? We need to understand where this voice came from so we can either be in agreement with it consciously as the grown adult person that we are, or we can start to shed it, okay? Or we can start to shed it. So here's your heart check in, all right? Or we can start to shed it. If that makes sense, put a one in the chat for me. All right. If that makes sense, put a one in the chat for me. Now, here's our heart check in. What truth do you want to embody, regardless of what you've been told and experienced or experienced? I want you to really ask yourself, what truth do I want to embody, regardless of what I've been told or regardless of what I've experienced? All right. So one truth for me it's just always been that everything is working for my good. That is a truth that I want to wake up every morning, no matter what is happening in the world, that I want to embody this truth that, that this thing that's happening to me, it is happening for my good, right? Good morning, Miss Jackie. Happy Friday. Right. That this thing that is happening to me is happening for my good. Okay. Listen, here's some insights that I want you to take with you on today. Identity is often inherited before it's chosen. All right. Your identity is often inherited before it's chosen. Listen, most women and men are living identities that were handed to them before they ever had a chance to really choose for themselves. All right. So these identities was really shaped by, again, childhood dynamics, faith teaching, cultural norms, and trauma conditioning. All right. So why this matters is because before someone can really embody your truth, you must first recognize that you didn't create the first one that you're living in today. All right. The real transformation starts by not adding, okay? It's by unlearning. The whole stop it now process is a process of unlearning. Unlearning what? Unlearning my story. Because once I can unlearn the story that I had about me, I can I can break this trigger, the triggers that the story was happening. I can turn my obstacles into opportunities. Okay. I can understand my patterns, right? And then switch my paradigm. And then the it and now is my inner critic will change and then my now will start to grow. But the whole idea about the stop it now is an unlearning process because what you have been taught about yourself, unfortunately, it's just not true. It's not true for you. It was true for somebody else, and it's not true for you. And that's the biggest level of dis-ease that we may feel because I've been told something about me, and now I'm trying to walk out this character, and it just doesn't feel like it's who I am. And now, as I'm trying to shift and mold and change to become the person that I feel like I need to be in my expression, in my expression creatively, in my aesthetics. And what I'm realizing is people have a great aesthetic. When I say aesthetic and how my life should look, right? How it should feel, right? As I'm starting to do this, it's very challenging, right? Because the mind sees that part of me as not safe. And so the whole Stop and Now Project Life is to truly help you to be able to shed these old stories, right? To really, again, like unlearn this old stuff, get safe with yourself enough so that you can move forward, right? In this new story. Again, number two, the inner critic. The inner critic thrives in silence and shame. Again, I do want you to know that this inner critic thrives in silence and shame. So the voice grows stronger when it's not examined. So many people don't talk back to it because they believe that this voice is true. And guess what? You've been told to not talk back to this voice, to not, people talk to themselves easy. I don't know if y'all heard that, but I was coming up, I heard that. And guess what I saw? I saw people walking up and down the street who talk to themselves. And I did. Like, okay, you talk to yourself. It's a little weird. Right. But it's okay to challenge as adults to challenge this inner critic. Listen, many people just don't talk back to it because they believe that the voice is true. But the moment you name it out loud, you start to separate yourself from it, right? So naming your inner critic equals weakening its control. All right. So here's an exercise you can do for that. You can name your inner critic's tone, right? Is it the parent? Is it the teacher? Is it a is a pastor, right? Give it a name. Perfectionist Paulie. I mean Paula. Overambitious Sal. I don't know. Just give it a name, right? Once you give it a name, you could speak back to it with using compassion and correction. Like I told you guys, I do this with my higher self, right? Alexi, our Lexi is my middle name, and when I find I'm about to do these shenanigans, I will ask like, okay, what would our Lexi do? We see this with the whole like, what would Jesus do, right? So we can do this with our inner critic. We can give it a voice. Like my name is the Annihilator. I know that you are trying to annihilate me right now. Thank you so much for you trying to keep me safe. But I really don't need that right now. I need more compassion and love. And then that's when I start to give myself compassion and love. I don't have to argue with my inner critic at this point. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm not saying that in any way, but to get you to see that there is a point where you can build a relationship with your inner critic. Because at one time I did, and a lot of my clients didn't. But over time, uh, they learned how to be more gentler and less judgmental to this inner critic. All right. And here's why, because language creates reality, right? If a person keeps saying I'm behind, if a person keeps saying I'm bad with boundaries, if a person keeps saying that I never get it right, guess what? You will start to embody the beliefs, those type of beliefs through your daily behaviors. All right. What you speak becomes your strategy, right? This is why language creates your reality, and we have to be mindful of what we're allowing ourselves to do through our words. I'm just not good at that. I'm bad at boundaries. I just don't know how to speak. I just, no. You want to make small shifts like I'm learning to speak up for myself. All right. I'm practicing boundaries. I'm understanding what standards are, right? I'm actively participating in my life, right? In my choices, choosing growth even if it's messy. All right. These are all powerful building blocks or identity builders because your words are not just descriptors, you guys. They are direction. Your words is providing your mind with direction of what is the next door we're going to go through. How are we going to tackle this next moment? What are we going to avoid? What are we going to resist? What are we going to integrate? And so we want to be mindful with our words. Okay. All right. Listen, I also want you to know that there's grief in outgrowing your old self. All right. I talked about this a couple of months ago that there is a grief that comes with this new you that you're becoming. And this is okay. All right. So let's just breathe that in. There will be a grief that you will experience. Listen, no one truly really talks about or really identifies the grief that comes with stepping into a new identity. We all hear like, oh, I'm this new me and I'm transformed, and this happiness that people have, which you do. But some people never really talk about this, or we never really see it talked about or expressed. So even when the new you is being aligned, right, there's a loss. Even when you attain the thing that you want, there is this loss, right? This loss of familiarness, right? This loss of who others may expected you to be, this loss of comfort, right? The comfort that you had in your smallness, comfort that you had in your in you saying that you was not going to, have conflict, right? There was a comfort in that. But the truth is here. The truth in this lesson is, listen, I want you to give yourself grace if you feel sad while you're getting stronger. I want you to give yourself grace that as you start to apply these life lessons and as your life starts to change and you feel this sadness and you don't know what that is, we can recognize that as grief. All right. You're just grieving how you would have responded and let the body do what it's going to do. Listen, that's not a weakness. That's you spiritually integrating or your divinity integrating and doing what it's supposed to do. And that feeling of grief, right? I used to respond this way. That grief will have to um truly take shape and form. And so it's not anything wrong with you. It's that you're shifting and changing and you are consciously or unconsciously grieving your own self. Right. I want you to also know that affirmations without integration becomes frustration. We do affirmations every day in our life lesson. But listen, without integration, they become frustration. Listen, affirmation works only when they're paired with action. Why? Because affirmation is about shifting your belief. And if you don't believe it, then then it's not really gonna work. Okay. So affirmations work when they are paired with action and aligned with new beliefs. All right. So, for example, if I say I am worthy of love, but I keep over giving in one-sided relationships, or my actions are will if I say that I'm worthy of love, but I keep overgiving in one-sided relationships. Listen, my actions is contradicting the affirmation, right? This creates an internal conflict within me, all right? And people tend to blame the affirmation, and it's not, or the tool, but it's not the tool. It's the misalignment in you, right? So when you start to say that I am worthy of love, then there's an action then that's required that no, it's not about changing a person, but it is about how do I start to show up in that worthiness, okay? How do I start to show up in that worthiness? Because here's the truth. Your new truth must be practiced, okay? Your new truth must be practiced, not just posted, all right? Not posted on social media, not posted on the mirror on a sticky note, right? Not posted on the screen of your phone. It's the practice of showing up in this I am worthy of love. It's the practice of showing up in the I am, whatever you're affirming, it's the practice of doing that. And even if the practice is, I heard this guy say yesterday, I don't know if you guys have ever read Atomic Habits, but even in the book Atomic Habits, it even talks about like when you go to work out, sometimes you're probably not going to do all 10 push-ups. I'm just giving an example, but just going and doing one push-up, right? When you don't really feel like, but just doing the one push up, what is the practice of this is the direction that I want to go to? Because we know that first we build our habits and then our habits make us. And as we're shifting, right, we're shifting our habits that's making us really, all right? Listen, you are not your old belief. All right. That belief was shaped in survival, all right, not sovereignty. When you let go of what doesn't serve you, you really free who you are, you really free who you were always meant to be. Okay. You're not healing to become someone new, right? You're healing to come home to who you've always been, you guys. And when you stop identifying, or um when you stop identifying as the strong one, right, who never needed help, when you stop identifying as a strong one who never needed help, you finally start receiving the support and what that you always needed. All right. I have so many clients that come. who identify as a strong one that never needs help, right? And then they're upset because they're not getting help because they're labeling themselves as a strong one. I can do everything and all of this. People just feel like I don't need no help, right? Because you are identified as the strong one. Right, but when you stop identifying as that, you will finally start to receive the help that you so desperately desire. Listen, studies in neuroplasticity shows that identity-based change is more sustainable than behavior change. The mind aligns actions with how you see yourself, you guys, and this is why in the Stop It Now framework, we're really talking about the identity and self-talk because we can change in our behaviors, but if I never change who I see myself to be, then sustaining that behavior is going to be difficult. So we need an identity based change. All right. If that makes sense, put a two in the chat for me. That makes sense. Put a two in the chat for me. We know that the it and Stop It Now is all about identity, right? And self talk, this inner critic in self talk and identity. You don't need to silence every critical thought, you guys. You just need to give your truth the final word, okay? You don't need to silence every critical thought that you're having, you guys. We just need to make sure that our truth of who we are is the final word. So here's some essentials to really rewriting your inner critic and reclaiming your identity. The inner critic we need to see as the inner critic is a borrowed voice. All right. The inner critic is about what uh the inner critic is a borrowed voice. All right. So you must recognize that the voice that tells you something that you're not enough often sounds like someone else, a parent, an ex, coach, or a sister, right? It's not your truth, it's your training. Okay. It's not your truth, it's your training. So you don't have to keep obeying voices that were never rooted in love. Okay. You don't have to do that. Number two, self talk is a mirror of your identity. Okay. Self talk is a mirror of your identity. Listen, the way you speak to yourself reflects what you believe and you desire. Negative self talk isn't just about low confidence, you guys. It's often trauma informed coping patterns to avoid rejection, failure, and loss. Okay. It's like your mind is trying to stop it before it actually happens. All right. So this is a trauma informed coping pattern to really avoid rejection, failure, and loss. Listen, if you want to shift your reality, you have to start by shifting your inner conversation. All right. Shifting that inner conversation with yourself. And if you need help with that, reach out to me, join that Project Life, get a coach, get a therapist so you can really start changing this internal conversation. If that makes sense, put a three in the chat for me. Right. Listen, repetition trains the brain. The inner critic thrives on repetition, but so does inner confidence. So does self worth. So does value. All of the other stuff thrives on repetition too. So the brain doesn't know what's true, right? It's unconditional. It doesn't know what's true. It knows what is repeated, you guys. So daily affirmations isn't fluff. It's really neural programming. Daily actions isn't fluff. It's really neural programming because your brain is just going to accept what you give it. All right. So if you allow the inner critic to drive and be the repetitive thing that feeds your mind, then the brain is like it's not saying, oh, you know what? And not this back to the full circle moment about nature. Your brain is like nature. You gave me this information. I'm not saying, oh, I'm not going to accept that because that's your inner critic. It's not biased. It's not biased to that. All right. So everything else, like your confidence, your work, your values, it also strives on repetition. So daily affirmation and daily action isn't fluff. Okay, it is neural programming or reprogramming. So we want to do it. All right. Um, Number four, listen, what you believe, you build. What you believe you build. Listen, every decision, every boundary, every standard, every yes, every no comes from what? Comes from a belief. It comes from a belief. Let me say that again. Every decision, every boundary, every standard, every yes, every no, it comes from a belief. And if you believe that you have to earn love, you will overgive. If you believe that you are already worthy, you will protect your peace. All right. If you believe that you have to earn love, right? If you believe that you have to earn anything, you're gonna overgive. You're gonna overperform because it's a performance, right? But if you believe that you are already worthy of whatever that is, I'm already worthy of the respect. I'm already worthy of the love and all of that. Guess what? You want to protect your peace. Guess what? Don't be you. You do what you do. Let me do what I do. Right? I don't have to judge the other person. You don't have to judge or anything because you're protecting your peace because you know you already worthy. And if somebody else don't want to give it to you, okay, that's good. You can give it to me. All right. Listen, your mindset isn't just about how you think, you guys. It is about how you live. Right. And that is why this month the mindset, really elevating your mindset is so important because it's not just about how you think, it's about how you live. All right. All right. Number five, old belief serves, if that makes sense, put it four in the chat for me. All right. Number five, old belief serves old identities. All right. The belief that you have to prove yourself, that's protecting the version of you who thought safety came from perfection and silence. Okay. The belief that you have to prove yourself, okay, that protection is a version of you who was taught that safety come from perfection and silence. It's what's coming, I have to say this because what's coming up in my spirit with this one is whenever we're defending a behavior, all right, remember old beliefs serve our old identities. So whenever I'm going in to defend my behavior, I'm defending that identity. All right. I'm not even open to hearing this new information that or this new perception or this new whatever. So if somebody say, hey, you did this, you said this to me, I felt this way, and I'm like, oh well, I meant it like this, and I'm defending that behavior, I'm defending the past, I'm defending an identity, I'm defending this part versus being open and saying, okay, so tell me what you said. And then I can share my intention. Thank you for the new information, but I don't have to defend that behavior. I can just say, oh, if it was offensive, I apologize. That was not my intention. Thank you for letting me know that. Next time I will, take that into consideration, right? I'm taking this with information and I'm evolving because I'm using it now. I'm not defending what I did. And every time we step in to defend what we did, then we're not taking the new information that's really there to refine us. All right. Listen, when you're ready to grow, you'll release the belief that only work for your survival, okay, and not your expansion. And guess what? Defending behaviors, defensiveness altogether is a survival mechanism. It is that I need to defend and to survive. And expansion is about being vulnerable. It's about being open. It's about not that I have to listen to everybody or care about what everybody's saying, but I also don't have to feel threatened because you didn't see the thing the way I saw it. All right. All right. That makes sense. Put a five in the chat for me. Number six. All right. You can't hear what you're still justifying. You guys, you cannot hear what you're still justifying. Many beliefs stick around because they're wrapped up in your logic. I talked about logic yesterday. They're rational lies. You have believed a or yeah. So to me, rationalize is that this is a rational lie. Okay. So you're telling yourself a rational lie, and many beliefs stick around because they're wrapped in logic. Listen, I don't want to seem arrogant. I'm just being realistic. Okay. Just because it feels safe doesn't mean that it's sacred, you guys. Just because it's logical, it doesn't mean all the time that it's the best version of that you can bring to the table in this moment. Okay. Listen, you can't heal what you're still justifying. All right. You can't heal what you're still justifying. And again, many of us are stuck because we are wrapping many beliefs will stick around because we wrap them in logic. They have become you know, they're rational lies and we support them in how we move. All right. We all do it, right? We all do that. We all rationalize our behaviors, but want to become aware. Okay. Number seven, uh, you need to give yourself permission before you feel ready. All right. You need to give yourself permission before the most powerful shifts won't feel earned. All right. They feel scary because they go against the grain of your past conditioning. All right. So if you're waiting to feel ready to change, if you're waiting to feel ready for that growth, if you're waiting to feel ready, you're still asking fear to lead you. All right. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to move. All right. That makes sense. Put a 7 in the chat. Number eight. Confidence comes from integrity, not performance. You guys, listen, when your action match your truth, not just your role, I'm gonna tell you this, you rise. All right. When your actions match your truth and not just your role, you rise. Confidence isn't built in applause, you guys. It's built in alignment. You're powerful when you stop performing and you start embodying. This is the most difficult thing to do because when we're performing, there is this sense of, let's say, like competition, like I win, I won, I conquered. Um, so just to transfer more to support this, um, I was talking to a friend of mine, an individual that I date, and and we're talking back and forth, and I have to say, um, I said something, but in my spirit, I felt like you win, right? In my in my spirit, I just feel like you win. Like I'm just not gonna go back and forth with you. And at that moment, I realized that was I really coming from integrity, like how I feel? Because that was my goal. Like, listen, I'm really just trying to share how I feel. This is my honest thought about this moment, you know. But what was sneaky under that was that it was truly me performing because I heard myself say, "You win." Okay, I give up. Right? In a sense, like I feel defeated. And in that moment, I had to stop and breathe, and they kept talking and they kept saying, and I said, okay. Well, I mean, I truly said what I said. And I understood that in our conversation back and forth, I was trying to win. I was trying to get him to see and say, yes, I understand, Sheila. I get that, Sheila, right? I was trying to convince him to agree with me, to come on board with me, to hear what I was saying, and I was seeking that validation from him. And so the more that I was talking, the more I stopped stepping out the integrity of my truth and went into trying to perform in a way to get him to agree with me. And when he wasn't agreeing, I heard this voice come up like, "Oh, you win," and I felt it. I felt defeated, and in that moment, it was like, "Oh, yeah, you performing now, she. You performing now, she." And I had to step back and just breathe and say, "Well, this is how I feel. We can just agree to disagree." All right. All right. Because listen, confidence comes from integrity. It doesn't come from performance. So when I hung up that phone, I felt good because I said my truth and we could just agree to disagree. Now guess what? When I hung up that phone, there was like I had to deal with all of the emotions that and all the voices that was like, you should have said this. And what if you would have said it like that? And like all of that still came up. But guess what? I didn't have to entertain it, right? I didn't have to send the text that I wanted to send or, to prove myself right. No, because that's all me now trying to perform and give this individual or convince this individual or give validation from them when I know my truth. All right. And so I want you to know that confidence comes from integrity, not performance. Your power, right? You're powerful when you stop performing, you start embodying what's true for you, even when nobody else does. That's the moral of that story. Right? If that makes sense, put an 8 in the chat for me. Number 7, true voice was never the loudest. Listen, your inner critic shouts, all right, and the inner witness it whispers, you guys. But the whisper comes, but that whisper really carries wisdom and not wounding. All right. Listen, stillness reveals what noise tries to drown out. Okay. Your I want to say this. Stillness reveals what noise tries to drown. And what is that noise trying to drown? Your truest voice. All right. Like I said, the whisper that came up, going back to my example, the whisper that came up that, oh, you feel defeated, right? That was insight for me. That was my wisdom saying, you're performing. All right. Now, when I just said, okay, we can agree to disagree, and I got off the phone, guess what came loud? The inner critic, what you should say, what text this, say that, call back and say this. Oh, if you say that, and that lasted maybe like an hour after the conversation, right? just this nudge to do something to what? To get the win. And because I'm practicing integrity and over performance, right? Just want to show up and be true to what I feel like, whether you agree with it or not. That's the work because that inner critic was loud, right? This inner voice was loud and telling me what to do. But the wisdom that came up was like, right, we're not performing anymore. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, renewal requires a disruption. All right. Listen, you cannot elevate without disrupting the emotional ecosystem that normalize self-betrayal. Listen, transformation isn't tidy, but if you want a new outcome, listen, you must challenge the belief that protecting your own one. Again, what did I do? I disrupted the performer in me. Because I'll do. I say I'm 100%. If you guys watch the What Would My Daddy Say show, if you go to YouTube, you'll see that you understand that I have a lot of shenanigans, right? Whole lot, okay, in my person, and and um and so when I'm healing or when I'm like yeah in this transformational healing state, right? There is this disruption that I definitely have to embody. And guess what? I'm not the only person who has shenanigans. Work with thousands of people that have a lot of shenanigans. And so this transformation thing, it isn't this tidy thing. It's not, it's kind of like cleaning up your closet. Like when you clean it out, it's gonna get messy before it gets organized, right? And that's the part that we're trying to control. And it's like, no, listen, transformation isn't tidy. All right. But if you want a new outcome, you must challenge the belief that's protecting the old ones. All right. So you cannot elevate without really disrupting the emotional ecosystem. And again, back to my example of that conversation where it's just like, listen, we can agree to disagree. My emotional ecosystem was to win, right? And I am savvy with my words, and I probably could have won that conversation, but it's like, do you want to win or do you just want to stand in your truth, all right? Because I don't have to convince you or anybody, okay? In that case, all right, in that specific case, all right. So if that makes sense for the heart in the chat, as we move on to our biblical wisdom, John 8:32. We know our verse for this week. Again, we're going through verses for the week and not different verses every day. So our verse for this week is, then you will know the truth, right? And the truth will set you free. Some people say, some verses say the truth will make you free. Listen, truth isn't just about facts, you guys. It's about freedom. And the moment you name what's real, you break the chains of what was rehearsed. All right. Listen, this verse is not about abstract doctrine. It's truly about personal revelation. All right. The truth in this context is the truth about who you are, not just who God is. All right. This is about the truth about who you are, not just who God is. For many people, especially women, only for men too. But especially for women, truth has been filtered through other people's opinions, through your upbringing, through church, through trauma, right? Through church trauma and through culture. All right. So a lot of times, as women and some men believe that I'm too much. I'm behind. I have to earn love. All right. But when you recognize that those are just beliefs and not truth, then you begin to reclaim your freedom. All right. And freedom doesn't come from perfection. It comes from permission. All right. So permission to what? Permission to challenge what you inherited, right, from your family, from your friends, from your culture, right? Permission to redefine what you internalize, right, from your environment, and permission to let your truth or let the truth of your God-given identity speak louder than your inner critic, you guys. All right, to speak louder than your inner critic. Again, we're ending this week with John 8:32. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. All right, our promise verse. Our promise verse is Psalms 139:14. Again, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Listen, this is not a compliment, but a declaration, you guys. You were designed, you were designed with purpose. Your wholeness is not up for debate. All right, your worthiness is not up for debate. Our worthiness is not up for debate. Listen, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. That is what the verse says. So this is not about reciting affirmation, it's about receiving revelation. Remember, the truth is revealed to you. So when you begin to know full well that you are God's gift, not a mistake, not too loud, not unworthy, right? You begin to act like that. So the scripture is a counter narrative to your identity wound, you guys. It's not saying you become worthy through fixing yourself. Let me say that again. It's not saying that you become worthy through fixing yourself. It's saying that we were made worthy. All of us were made worthy. Period. All right. Every time the inner critic rises up, the truth can meet it with this belief is not true because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So we go back earlier to what is that? What is one thing that you want to know that is true? Maybe this is it, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. All right. Right here. Listen, these scriptures shift the location of power. It reminds you that the voice of truth is not outside of you, but it lives within you. Okay. And when you start to embody this idea that God is not in the sky, right? That it is the voice of truth inside of me, right? It frees you from chasing validation and broken systems. All right. These scriptures also invite you to speak truth to a lie, all right, to a lie that you have been told about yourself with the same authority. Listen, you can speak truth to a lie that you've been told yourself with the same authority that Jesus or Yahshua Messiah used when he silenced fear, shame, and oppression. You get that same authority to do that, right? Listen, when your beliefs say I am not enough, let your truth say yes, I am because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. When your belief says I I'll never break this cycle. Let your truth say you will know the truth, right? And the truth will make you free. Listen, this is not about the battle between you and your flaws today. Okay. This conversation is not a battle between you and your flaws. It's a conversation between the God in you, okay, and the fear that forgot who you are. All right. It's a conversation between the God in you and the fear that forgot who you are. All right. So if you're ready to release that version of you, so I want you to ask yourself, are you ready to release the version of you that was built in fear and really embody the one that was formed in truth? All right, that was formed in truth. All right. So before we put this into practice, let's go over this week. All right. If that biblical wisdom makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. All right, put a heart in the chat for me. We know that this week was all about awareness or recognizing and inspire in this rise, right? And we're elevating our mindset by rising this week, me by rising this month. All right. This is a 3 week series. This week we integrated, recognize, and inspire. So this overall goal is really to help, right? To help you. Overall goal this week was to help you um, help shape the beliefs that has been shaping your life, locate where it came from, and really replace it. Okay. So on Monday, again, we talked about the stories, the origin of your inner critic, right? Uncovering the voice beneath that. On Tuesday, we talked about what makes you shrink, fear, fear patterns in action, right? And how to really get activated in real time, right? Triggers reveal where healing wants to happen. Again, triggers reveal where healing wants to happen. So we're looking at triggers as an invitation. On Tuesday, we talked, Wednesday was all about obstacles, the cost of believing you're not enough, right? And really realizing that your self worth has been shaped by your self commission, right? You don't have to earn worthiness. You don't have to earn worthiness. It's a foundation for your forward movement. And then on P, we talked about those patterns yesterday, right? The belief loop that keep us small. Listen, loops aren't truth; they're just repetition, right? And you can interrupt that and rewrite that in today. Today we talked about your beliefs. Your belief is not your truth. All right. Somebody gave it to you. So we bring it home today. Today's lesson really invited you to separate who you are from what you believe. All right. And so you get to say at the end of this session, by now, that the story may have shaped me, but it didn't define me. All right. And here's the truth that I want you to anchor with on today. You are not your past beliefs. You are your present becoming. All right. So how do we put this in action steps? Um, Very simple. I want you to write down the beliefs that you are, so your action steps. would be to write down the belief that, let me find it. Write down, write down the beliefs you're releasing today. Then write down the truth that you're replacing it with. All right. Your journal prompt. Your journal prompt, if you just want to journal, is going to be what are beneath, what, who are you beneath the belief? All right. And what do you get to become now? All right. And then your affirmation for today is that I release the script of survival and speak truth of who I am. I release the script of survival and speak the truth of who I am. All right. And then our intention for today and for the rest of the weekend is I reclaim my identity and give my truth the mic. Right. I reclaim my identity and give my truth the mic. All right. All right. And then our call, challenge, and charge for today. Call, challenge, and charge. So the call is truly what belief are you breaking up with today? Okay. What belief are you breaking up with today? Your challenge today, listen, say your truth, say your new truth out loud in the mirror, in the chat, and in this world. Okay. And in this world. All right. And then your charge, listen, don't just hear your truth. I want you to live it. Live it out loud. Don't just hear your truth, but live it out loud. Okay. Drop a yes if you're done mistaking your beliefs for your truth. Okay. Drop a yes if you're done mistaking your mistakes for your truth. And listen, if this session revealed a belief that you're ready to rewrite, I do want you to know that Project Life is the space where we turn theory into practice. All right. And if this session resonated with you and you are walking away with insight today, I want you to drop a fire in the chat and let's celebrate our growth together. And I always want you to know that if you can shape it in your mind, okay, you can have it in your life. I want you to know I love you. I love you. I love you. I will see you Monday when we start talking about the S in rise as we're starting to elevate our mindset. We want to rise and we're talking about S, which is strengthen, right? If you're having some issues with strengthening, showing up strong and things like that, then you want to show up for the series next week. I love you again. I love you. I love you. I'll see you Monday or I'll see you later for that life lesson. See you on Monday for that life lesson. Till later.